Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am just another tinfoil hat. Welcome to my show. Today, we are going to be discussing a case which I had actually never heard of prior to finding it for this channel, and that is the Gitchee Manitou Marauder. So, the sighting that we're going to cover here occurred on July 5th of 1976 in what was then known as the Gitchee Manitou State Park, now State Preserve, in Lyon County, Iowa. Now, this is actually just northwest of Granite, Iowa, and just southeast of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, so the case was actually reported in the Sioux Falls Argus Leader. It involved four brothers of the Reeg family. In age order, they were Chris, age 11, Tom, 9, Andy, 8, and Joel, 6. Now, the four brothers were in the state preserve. They actually lived very close by, around 9 in the morning. The younger two were playing in a picnic shelter when they started hearing strange noises. They claimed that the noises in question were a kind of grunting noise that turned into a high, shrill whistle. They looked over in that direction and claimed that they saw what they described as about a 7-foot tall person standing about 70 feet away, partially obscured by bushes. Now, they said that the only part that wasn't obscured in any way whatsoever was part of the leg, which was covered in a shiny blue material. Now, as they were watching this being standing behind the bushes, the noises became louder, as though they were actually approaching the two boys. So at this point, they decided to run to their older brothers, who were about a quarter mile away, excitedly explaining what they had seen. Now, coincidentally, the spot where they met up with their older brothers was actually the exact site of an earlier sighting of a bizarre glowing white dome-like object with glittery lights. The woman who had seen this object said that she had actually seen it several times over the course of about a month. Now, at this point, with all four brothers together, the older two, Chris and Tom, claim that they can actually see a glowing object come out from behind a large tree, accompanied by a humming sound. The boys said that this object was a glowing white which brightened and dimmed, similar to the earlier sighting by the woman, and was about the size and shape of a large haystack. The object and the tree that it was hovering over were about 50 yards away. The boys claimed that the object hovered above the tree, paused, and then disappeared in a southerly direction. Now, the four brothers who lived near the park said that they were actually too frightened to go back and play. Now, at this point, too, there were lots of sightings in the area. One was this woman who was awakened by the sound of neighborhood dogs going absolutely berserk, and as she went to see what the matter was, she saw, again, a dimming and brightening white light. Later in August, there was a Christmas tree-shaped object with revolving multicolored lights. Another man claimed a sighting of something as big as 4 football fields, and after hearing about the Reeg boys' sighting, actually searched the area. Now, what he found directly under where they had seen the bizarre haystack white glowing object, he found a turtle pond, for one thing. However, nearby, there were small oak trees whose top leaves appeared to have been burnt. When he returned to the site later, all of the leaves which had previously appeared burnt had fallen off. Now, Gitchee Manitou State Preserve is as beautiful as it is interesting, and there's two things of note. One is its geological importance. There are these fantastic and very old quartzite outcroppings, as well as some of the oldest exposed bedrock in the state of Iowa. In addition to this, its archaeological importance cannot be overstated. It has a collection of conical Native American burial mounds. Now, again, this is something that the late, great Linda Godfrey talked about, was the proximity of different mounds of many different types, effigy mounds, burial mounds, and sightings of the strange and unusual. Now, unfortunately, this is not the preserve's only claim to fame. It also is the site of the terrible 1973 Gitchee Manitou murders, which left 4 teens dead and one 13-year-old girl kidnapped and raped. So some people say that because of that, other people say that, that has nothing to do with it. Gitchee Manitou State Preserve is, you may have guessed it, haunted. Sightings of strange apparitions, hearing bizarre noises, just your run-of-the-mill haunting type stuff. But again, it's really interesting that you have this site that, known locally, is to be haunted, and then you have these bizarre UFO encounters and the sighting of this strange metallic being occurring in that same location. Now, speaking of the strange metallic being, again, it's kind of a shame because we don't really have a great description of it. Again, these are 4 kids. They were very young. So you have to take that into account. However, I think that it's easy to discount kids being kids, but these 4 brothers had made a habit of playing in the state preserve. They lived right nearby. And at the time of the article being written, they said that they didn't want to go and play there anymore without some adults around because of what had happened. They seemed to be very frightened of it. So again, really wish that they would have had a clearer look at that bizarre 7 foot tall being whose leg was clothed in some metallic blue material. But even without that, this is a really intriguing case. Of course, it also occurred kind of in the middle of a flat. Lots of people in the area were seeing strange things in the sky. And again, this is another case where it seems like the occurrence at large really is started by a noise. Their attention was first attracted by the noise, the grunting noises, the whistling noises, and then they saw this strange entity, as well as the bizarre glowing white haystack like object. So, I think that, again, we kind of see this almost priming, where it's kind of a fairly nondescript noise or there's a nondescript light, which seems to prime witnesses to see more details in the encounter. However, I think one of the most intriguing things to me personally about this case is that if you simply change the dressings and just some of the details, it reads almost exactly like a Bigfoot encounter. You have these two kids playing in a state park. They hear grunting noises, which then turn into a shrill whistle. They look over and see that pretty far away, but too close for comfort, there's this 7 foot tall bipedal entity kind of just appearing to watch them. If it was simply covered in fur instead of some metallic material, again, it reads exactly like so many Bigfoot encounters. Again, too, this one just so happens, though, to also include the sighting of the bizarre glowing haystack shaped and sized object. Well, if you enjoyed this episode on the Gitchee Manitou Marauder, please like, and if you're new to this field of crop circles, go ahead and subscribe to see what weirdness the future may have in store. Till then, you can keep up with whatever else I might possibly be doing on my free blog at patreon.com/justanothertinfoilhat. And for today, I am Zelia Edgar, signing off. Doing.